Here's a fun self-portrait tutorial. I've set up a rig on one of my sculptures at home here, zoomed in, and I'm set up to draw on this little sketchbook. As you can see, I start out with the eye, and I try to position the eye on the page that when I place the second eye, the whole composition will be centered. I do my best. In fact, there's a little secret. I did a whole different portrait that wasn't as good as this, and I recorded it, and this is actually a re-recording. So, it just goes to show that it's worth, doing it right. The method that I'm using here is the drawing on the right side of the brain method by Betty Edwards. This is a technique that I learned in college, and I've been applying it ever since. In the book, the author, Betty Edwards, recommends that you use the logical side of your brain to interpret art. And there are tricks, like for example, to force yourself to think logically and base your drawings on only what you see. There are exercises such as drawing with your opposite hand, for instance. So it's a book that I use on top of my regular skills. Now, here's a little something that you might have noticed. I make a mistake here. Now, there are measurements that I have in my head, and I made a mistake when I was observing, and I drew my mouth too low. And this is a key thing as an artist. If you notice a mistake, don't live with it if you can make the correction. Despite the paper being brittle, I corrected it, and I feel better about it. My likeness is also drawn on top of the traditional proportion knowledge that I have of drawing the head. So all those guidelines are in my mind and invisible on this piece of paper. And I'm laying out the proportions, of what I look like on top of what I know the structure of the human head is on everyone. Since I'm observing myself at a down angle, based on where my camera is, the ears are a little bit lower than they would be if it was like totally front on. But generally, the ears line up with the location of the eyes and the nose, and the mouth is a little bit above the midway point between the nose and the chin, and so on. These are covered more in more detailed tutorials at masterpieceartschool.com and some of the courses that I have there. Since the main focus of my self-portrait was on likeness, the lighting wasn't really set up to be dynamic. So you see I'm working on the lips there. For optimal proportions, it's best to draw the lips even on both sides, as if like you were to split them down the middle, and the left side looks a certain way and then the right side is a mirror. However, I'm catching my imperfections and being truthful with my illustration. Next, I'm applying some shading techniques, and essentially I'm working between hatching and cross-hatching, which are two forms. Hatching is in one direction, and cross-hatching angles another layer of lines in another opposite direction. So I'm adding nuances to the portrait here. You could see like some is cross-hatching, mostly hatching, trying to keep the lines neat. That's like the key. And I'm making sure that the contrast between the glasses, the lips, which are dark, the nostrils and the eyes, those are very dark. I'm trying to balance those shades throughout the face. the key is to have fun with your self-portrait while you're learning. So here's like the final piece. I think it's a very good likeness. And if you want more tutorials like this, please visit masterpieceartschool.com.